Tuned in to Joy 99.7 FM, and the show you're about to listen to is Geek Squad. You know, anytime you hear this soundtrack, like some people have been asking me, what genre is this soundtrack? It's what we call trap step. Yeah, so a bit of dubstep and a bit of trap, and fused with a bit of techno something. I mean, it's a tech show, so what do you expect? Anyways, we're still in COVID season. One day I wish I'd come on air and say, oh, so we're no longer in COVID season, but unfortunately we still are in COVID season. And so almost everything we're talking about this show from since it started has to do with how we're coping with COVID season and how we're using technology to fix all the problems that we're facing. Now, one such problem has been education. Schools are still locked down. Students and pupils have been asked to stay at home because, yes, there's a ban on social gathering, and going to school is a social gathering. So people are not going to school. They're home and they're learning from home. We've seen some schools use some very interesting technologies like the internet, like TV, like radio, to have classes. And based on this, we've decided to have a show on EdTech, that's educational technology. So we're talking today about remote learning, that's learning away from home, from the classroom. We're talking about educational technology and how COVID-19 is impacting this. Some say, listen, we should just go on holiday and wait when the season is over, then we start school all over again. Some say, hey, let's go on, let's continue. Some say, let's continue when school resumes, then we go back and then we refresh with everything we've not done. So today we're going to have a conversation with two specific people in specific areas. One is an EdTech specialist, when we say EdTech, educational technology, and the second is someone who really cares about children and the youth, their safety online. So I'll be talking to Cecil, and I'll be talking to Awu Idam. So in a bit, I'll get them on the phone lines so we have a conversation about educational technology and remote learning. So, I'll be talking to Cecil Sanam Mzako and Madam Awu Idam about EdTech. So, large-scale efforts, national efforts to utilize technology in support of remote learning, distance education, online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic are emerging and evolving quickly. Cecil.
Hello.
Hi, Cecil. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Great. Now, you're an EdTech specialist. I'm also very good.
Nice to hear.
Great. What do people need to know about educational technology? And we used to think that EdTech is the future, but it seems that the future has to catch up with us now because of COVID season. So tell us a bit more about EdTech. Let's be up to speed with what educational technology is about.
Good evening to your listeners, and I'm glad for the opportunity. When we say education technology, I keep saying we shouldn't be thinking too far away, right? So before the invention of chalk or pen or pencils or crayons, I'm sure people were writing in the sand with their hands.
Yeah.
Technology came called crayon or pencils or pen, and then chalk, and then came the blackboard, then the whiteboard, then the markers, then the projectors. So that's how technology has been involved with education over time.
Right.
Today, clearly, it has gone more sophisticated with the use of things like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, brain computer interface, blockchain. So as technology evolves, it drags education along. The challenge has been the speed of adoption. And until something like COVID happened, people who used to tell me they cannot migrate their school online were able to do that in 3 days.
I know, right?
So it tells you that the technologies are there. It's just us, the people, adopting it and making it an integral part of the way we deliver education. That's what has been lagging behind for a while. But I think COVID has been a blessing in disguise. It's opening our eyes to how we can actually leverage the already existing technologies that we have.
Right. So, based on the fact that we had to evolve to take advantage of technology, what are some of the evolutions that came with this shift, for, if I should say?
Yeah. So I think we were ready as a people in terms of humans, because we spend time on our phones, we spend time on our laptops.
Right.
All right. Either whether it's social media or sending an email or is listening to a music or watching a movie. So we've been accustomed to using these tools. What COVID has done is to make you use it for learning instead of just entertainment.
Right.
And we knew all this all along.
Yeah.
Just that because it wasn't institutionalized, it wasn't formalized, most students were not using it for learning. But now that that's the only way you can learn and stay up with maybe your academic work, they are being forced to use it, and they are beginning to see the benefits. And I think I hope it stays that way even after COVID.
Great. Now, let me ask you this. Since it started, have you come into contact with any students who are using technology to study now?
Yes.
And
we at eCampus had a shock of our time.
Right.
Between the 24th of March, I think that very day, 24th March, we had over 8,000 new users in that day alone. At about 1 p.m. in the afternoon, there were 13,000 active users on eCampus on the 24th of March. We have never seen that before.
Wow.
Resources have skyrocketed. Why? Because BEC was around the corner, SSE was around the corner, or WASI was around the corner, and these students had no alternative than to use platforms like our own eCampus to at least test prep with some of the past questions, do some reading, and then get to see their strength or weakness.
Right.
And I'm sure 2 weeks to that, we had come out with a promo code, eCampus20, that allows you to have access to any subject on our platform for 14 days. So I think 2 weeks after that, I'm sure it went viral, and that's how we got all those numbers. And since 24th March, every day, the traffic is impressive.
Wow. So you get the demographics of your traffic, right?
Of course.
And what seems to be the age group of some of your users?
It's mainly between those that are preparing for either BEC or WASI. That's the trend.
Okay.
So it's between those age groups, junior high school, final year students who are desperate on how to practice, and then the secondary school students or high school students who I'm sure are also preparing. I'm aware that the basic one has been postponed, and I'm sure the WASI 2 has been postponed. And that even adds up more to the anxiety. You know how it is when we're preparing for an exam, and now it's been pushed forward. So you need to keep preparing more. So we're anticipating more of these things happening. I think the benefit here has been the fact that they could see their strengths and weaknesses based on topics, which you don't get from using a paperback book. So it makes the learning a bit more personalized, more adaptive, and a bit more informal. So you can be anywhere and try your hands on a few things. And we try to gamify it a bit. So you have timed, and you can try to beat your time, and your accuracy increases over time. So when you see those dashboards, it becomes fun. It ends up like you're just playing some game, but in the end, you're actually learning.
So based on what you're saying, it's sort of a better experience than the paperback books?
Of course. Of course. Paperback books are great.
Yeah.
Paperback books are great, but they are unable to tell you how well you're performing how well you understand topics, and where your strengths and weaknesses are so you can focus.
Great.
Because without that kind of information, it becomes difficult. And since the student is not a trained teacher to identify that by themselves, having a tool that can do that for you whilst the teachers are home and you're also home kind of gives you some leverage. And we are very excited about this. We're working with a few teachers who we are sharing this kind of information, the strengths and weaknesses with, and encouraging them to build content so that we can feed back to these users so they can improve before they go write their exam.
Right. So now that you mentioned teachers, before I bring Madam Awu in, I'd like to know, so the e-campus, for instance, your system caters more to the students and the pupils. So
okay.
Sorry, you were saying?
The e-campus has 3 different users. So we have the typical student who wants to learn and prepare for an exam.
Right.
And we have a teacher who wants to know the strengths and weaknesses of his or her students, so they know how best to help the student. So mostly how it works is we encourage teachers to just let their students use the app to take our assessment as many times as possible. So within a period of 3 days, 1 week, as a teacher, if you're teaching mathematics, it becomes very clear to you that, this group of students are struggling with, say, vectors. But this other group are very good with simultaneous equation. And this other group are also struggling with sets. So how do I do my delivery? Do I group them into strengths and weaknesses? What kind of content should I recommend for them? So it makes the work of the teacher easier in terms of identifying the real need of the student and then hit the nail right on the head.
Great. Madam Awo.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners.
So you've been listening to the conversation, and you've been a very instrumental figure when it comes to, the youth and the children's safety online. And this, more than any time in our lives, is one of the times when safety online is very, very important. Yeah. But before we get on to their safety, you've experienced how the whole educational system has had to shift to a different, means because of COVID-19.
That's right.
So first off, what are your observations?
Spiky, I wouldn't rate this approach or this type of emergency remote learning or teaching situation with any standard, because usually when we talk about online learning, like the other counterpart of mine spoke about, online learning has complexities which are supposed to make it a bit more structured. So it's important for you to understand your students. Your students need to understand the learning platform that they are using. The pupil-teacher ratio has to be taken into consideration. The assessment system has to be modeled in such a way that the learner experience is taken on board, coupled with the fact that the bigger picture of infrastructure. And in that kind of learning ecosystem, we have the teacher's needs as well as the learner's needs, their pacing and the pedagogy and everything taken into consideration. But I don't think that is the situation we have now. It's more of a rushy approach to a situation. So because of that, I wouldn't be too rigid in saying that I want to assess the system, because it doesn't have any standardized system to measure it. It's an emergency remote teaching situation. So we only have
making do with what we have.
Exactly. Let's face it. It's difficult to turn a teacher into an online teaching expert in a week. And it's difficult to get students to respond or react the way they have to react within few months or so. And some are even without platforms or devices.
Yeah.
So how are they coping? So normal online learning cannot be measured by the emergency remote teaching situation. So we accept it as it is. It's a teaching situation in a difficult situation. And we hope that when COVID-19 is over, we wouldn't go back, we wouldn't maintain the status quo. We will have to sit back, dialogue with the respective stakeholders, come up with a structure or a structured approach to delivering this kind of learning so that both the learner, the teacher, and the community or the society at large could benefit from the situation.
Right.
Other than that, we can't see much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then, so as far as you've seen, what kind of tools have you come across students using so far?
Okay, so my children engage on the Zoom platform.
Right.
And then I've also had experiences of meetings on Microsoft Teams as well as WebEx.
Right.
And I know some schools are also using Google Hangouts. But there is also the use of WhatsApp in combination with the Zoom, which I think it's a laudable idea. And in a school in Nima, for instance, they rely solely on the WhatsApp. So the assignments are screenshot and shared across the platforms, and then they work on them, take a photo of it and send back to the teacher, and they assess it and grade it. And I think there's television, which is also the Joy FM platform, as well as
the Joy
Media
Learning
Networks platform, exactly. And there is radio as well. So I think it's a combination, so a blended situation, which has evolved out of COVID-19 experience.
Oh, great. So far...
And I forgot to mention Google Classroom. Some schools are also using Google Classroom.
The whole Google suite.
Yes.
And so far, would you say it's... I mean, we're not comparing it to the traditional classroom, but is it efficient?
Would it what? Can you come again?
Sorry, I said I'm not comparing it to the traditional classroom environment, but so far, do you think this method of learning is efficient?
It's not efficient because of lack of preparation.
Right.
And the sudden emergency nature of it. But then I think with time, when it's planned and structured, teachers will be well prepared. The students will know that it's not about showing your face and making noise. You're not supposed to be eating in your classroom and all of that. So those safety stuff and more like ethics will be upheld to.
Right. So, Cecil.
Yeah.
Yes, back to you. In your case, I'm going back to the teachers.
Yeah.
Do you think that the lack of interactivity on these platforms makes it difficult for them to carry on with their jobs, quote unquote?
Yes, that is accurate. Because they were trained. Don't forget that these teachers were trained through either teacher training or college of education.
Right.
And when they were being trained, I am not sure, but I doubt they had serious training on how to organize online sessions when they were being trained to become teachers. I've not seen their curricula, but I am not sure if it was part of their training to know what kind of tools to use to organize an effective and structured online teaching and learning environment. So I agree with my colleague. The preparation was not there. So we're just trying to make do with what we have. And like I explained earlier, that because we had devices and we are used to watching movies, we were used to playing music, we were used to
playing
social media. So we just decided to use those tools, like the WhatsApp. We decided to use those tools and then get creative around them to deliver some form of teaching and learning. But of course, that will not be as effective as a system that has been intentionally built and positioned to deliver learning. So the opportunity organizations like ours, like eCampus, is getting is that we have managed to build a system meant to deliver learning.
Mm.
So if the chaos moves for a while, people are then beginning to realize that now you can't just be mixing everything. Which other structured systems are there? Who has a track record? Who has done this before? So we've started getting a lot of calls from head teachers, from well-meaning people, trying to understand how our structure works so that they can adopt it in addition to the existing ones that they are trying, which is not as effective as if it was purposely built for that system.
Great. So another thing, when Madam Awo was speaking, she mentioned the use of WhatsApp, and I think it's quite ingenious. What, in your opinion, would be the best way to ensure that the outcomes of this WhatsApp platform use would be better, in spite of the inequalities of connectivity and infrastructure?
Yeah, so we share a lot of concerns when it comes to infrastructure, especially connectivity and device. But from our experience, access to devices is not as bad as access to connectivity. In the sense that in every household, in a household of 5, there will be one person that has a smart device or a laptop,
right,
or a computer. So if they really want to help that child learn, they can make room for that. The second thing is the cost of data. That could be a deterrent. So what we did quickly was to partner with Surfline, MTN, Vodafone. We're completing our process with Busy Internet so that anytime you're using eCampus, you don't have to pay for data. And we are very grateful for that partnership. So now the issue of, I have to bundle 10 CD before my son can learn is no more. So if it's just one phone you have, and you say that, okay, between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m., let me surrender my phone so my child can learn some math. That's a responsible parent.
Right.
So then the challenge of, I don't have data is no more an issue. So we agree that these challenges are there, but we're trying our best to take those stress away so that they can, even if it's the WhatsApp they are using to interact, how would you do assessment? So even if you're watching Joy Learning or you're watching any of this televised learning, at the end of the day, how do you do assessment to know your strengths and weaknesses and know where to focus? So that's where structured platforms like what we have at eCampus can play a critical role.
Right.
Because even today I was watching Joy Learning, very interesting. I wanted to ask a question. How do I ask that question? So I'm like, okay, what if I go to eCampus and ask that question under that topic?
Yeah.
And then for some reason, the teacher from Joy Learning goes there to answer me. At least it's structured there. You get my point?
Yes.
What if I want to take an assessment? I can go on eCampus and take a test. Then know where I'm weak. So if I watch the Joy Learning calendar and they are going to teach the topic that I'm weak in on Sunday, I make sure I don't miss it. So that level of collaboration is also required. And we're trying our best to see how we can all come together. Like my colleague said, it just hits everybody. So we're all trying to figure things out. But I'm sure by the time things settle down, mid-May, getting to the end of May, all these collaborations and partnerships will evolve.
Yeah.
Then we can begin to see a more structured environment for our learners to get the best experience.
Great. Madam Awo, I see you wanted to say something.
Yes.
Yeah.
When he spoke about the fact that the digital divide issue is not as it's been projected, I think I beg to differ on that. Because the remotest villages that are there, I'm not sure they are even privy to the existing platforms. So in order for them to also benefit, just like he said, in terms of the Joy Learning platform, if someone should be watching, maybe Joy Learning should provide feedback system. So a child could ask a question. I don't know if it could be by SMS or any other means that they could have it. Then they could ask the question and get the feedback or the response going back to them and things like that. That would be one of the ways to help the system. And coming back to shared platforms, I have a concern with that in terms of parents who are using their worktops at home.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, some of the children are straying onto things that they are not supposed to see. And again, it's also an issue of the parent compromising on the security system of the work information.
Right.
So we encourage people to create a guest or visitor account for the children to use. So that becomes a separate account on the same laptop or computer for them to use, just so they don't get inadvertently exposed to content that they are not supposed to see or leak information they are not supposed to give.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially that is it. And I since he is talking about content area, I'm also going to focus on the security now.
Okay.
So it's important for us to reduce the traces of ourselves online. Google and everything that we do are interested in the data we put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only way they can also curate content or interest for us on various platforms. So whilst we are profiling ourselves, it's important for us to understand some of the dynamics at play. And secure and strong password creation is key. So those who are using the Zoom and all other things, it's easy to connect, but the most important thing is how strong is your password.
Yeah.
So it's not like Jesus says, or I am for Jesus or anything, and hope that is protecting you. It's important to make our platforms, our passwords strong enough so they don't get hacked into. And I also have a concern with well-being, addiction issues.
Yeah.
Children are playing games nowadays, and even adults are playing games. Some of them are even addicted to WhatsApp and Facebook. They are there, and it's like their whole well-being depends on it. You are talking to somebody, and the person is chatting, and does not have the time. That level of addiction, when they get out of it, becomes another thing altogether. So it's important we check that as well. And there's loads and loads of misinformation out there as well. People see news. Sometimes it's 2019 or 2008 news. And the first thing they do is, because the caption is related or is similar, they start sharing and then misinforming people about it. So it's also important that we know what we consume, whether it's the accurate one or the inaccurate one. And again, on Zoom platforms and Google connections and stuff like that, I would want to advise parents to stop using their smartphones to connect. There's high cybersecurity threats in that aspect. So personal information, which is so sensitive to you, it's important you don't use such platforms to connect. But in this era where we cannot manage, we cannot afford to get an additional platform, it's important you are careful. So that is when the strong password come in. And in all of this, I'm looking at what do we do after COVID-19, after we've created the Zoom classroom, created this Gmail account and everything. What do we do? It's important for us to check our privacy settings.
Right.
So people can easily log on. Fortunately, Google, the one which is most people have given us the option to clean our footprint a bit. So people can just log on to myaccount.google.com/privacy checkup, and then they can know what to do there, know what to remove, what you don't want about you there. Same thing will apply to your security settings and then your activity control system.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is what I would say. And in terms of the mental health issues, we are not able to identify most of the issues. And so I think we need to do a personal soul searching of a sort.
Right.
In as much as the connections are helping us to socialize, hitherto we didn't used to have it that way. So we cannot just give up our personal or face-to-face connections for social media. So the first thing you should ask yourself, if you are the type that will wake up in the morning and check your phone first, and the phone being the last thing you would check before going to bed, then you should be asking yourself some questions. Are you addicted? And don't let somebody's life online becomes what determines you. There are people who know about, maybe I spend all my time knowing about Spiky. They're going to have more important things to do. How does the person know that the person is spending time online just following Spiky, everything he does, and that becomes a problem in the end.
Right.
Let's not also compromise our one-on-one interactions for social media reliance. Too many people now, I see people around, even though it's physical distancing. Yes, sometimes you need to interact with people, and then you're talking to them, their focus is on the phone. And I don't think it's the best thing to do. So the last thing I would say, it's about people projecting their lives different from their real life situation. Someone is putting filters to photos just to look good on social media, and when you see them in real life, it's a mystery. So why do you want to impress other people on social media? It's an addiction sign. It's a sign of addiction, or it's a sign of mental health situation, and we need to check that. And maybe I will give the platform to my colleague to speak. Then I will come up with the mental, emotional detox steps.
Sure.
And yes, that could help people.
Right. Cecil.
Yeah.
Yes. So, in your regard, people who use your platform, you've been doing this for a long time, educational technology, and you've been pushing this agenda, and now it's presented to you on a silver platter to help people catch up with school. How would you bridge the gap between, like Madame Awo said, those in the very rural areas who do not have access? How are you looking to bridge that gap?
All right. So I think one of the first steps was to get this partnership with the telcos and then this internet service providers. Those are the first steps. The second step that we're doing is we're working with an organization called ABCDE,
right?
The Africa Business Center for Education, for Development of Education. So
nice.
We've been working with them. What they do is, because they are a non-profit, they have partners like Vivo Energy, EcoBank, and Co. who invest money into trying to get this infrastructure for those who otherwise cannot get it.
Right.
They're even going a step further, paying the subscriptions that these learners are supposed to pay on our platform. They are paying it for them. Recently, they've done it for 300 students, and they're looking at expanding it. One thing, too, is some of the partners, they have built all these laboratories, computer labs in these various areas, right, the rural areas, and these labs don't have content. So what they are looking at is why don't we let them have access to eCampus in those labs in those rural areas paid for by this partner. So we're trying a number of things, but the truth is we cannot meet everybody right now. So I agree with my colleague who, in her previous submission, she said after COVID, we need to sit down as a people, as a country, bring all the stakeholders, and let's fix the gaps in what COVID has forced us to create. And then we can have a more structured and more equitable way of delivering learning online so that everybody can benefit from it.
Great.
And I'm impressed with the NEMA example where they're using WhatsApp.
I believe, we all are.
So that tells you that people are creative. People will do the right thing if you make it easier for them to do the right thing.
Right.
So we are doing our best in terms of making sure we reach as many people as possible. But the truth of the matter, we cannot reach everybody immediately. So we are open to more partnerships so that we can progressively as a people create this experience for learners going forward. And I do agree that no matter what happens, we still need that physical interaction, the face-to-face. So after COVID, what we are advocating is let's keep the blended going on. In as much as if COVID goes tomorrow and they go back to the classroom, some activities should still remain online. So that if you focus on using the technology to identify or profile the learner and they come to the classroom, the engagement is different, it's specific, and you get better results compared to the teacher spending hours and hours marking scripts. That's not his job.
Right.
So you come to school to teach for 3 hours and you spend 1 hour marking scripts of 30 students. That's your time being wasted. So if they can take those assessments using technology so that it marks it automatically, profile them, shows the teacher their strength and weakness on a dashboard, and the teacher can use that extra 1 hour to help the learner in more physical and specific ways, so that we reduce the workload or the administrative workload of the teacher and free the teacher to do what they were trained to do, to teach.
Right.
So that kind of blended is very important going forward, even after this crisis is over.
Okay. So I'll be right back. I'm taking a quick breather. When we get back, we'll talk more about EdTech, remote learning, and COVID-19. The show is Geek Squad, and it's brought to you by Home Used Cars app, the Hookah app. Discover the state of your car before it's imported. Hookah app, we let you know if it's accident-free. And then mobile money interoperability, powered by GIPS. Be our hero, be safe, stay at home. Across, yes safer. COVID Connect, a digital service that connects to the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Service. And you can access COVID Connect by downloading Lucille Vitals from the Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. I'll be right back after these messages.
Mate, see, collect my phone and tell the person say it fell in your car. I need to send this person mobile money, but we are not on the same network, and they also won't understand.
You can now send and receive mobile money on all networks across a year easy.
Hey, sir, I didn't know.
From your network to other networks, you can now send and receive mobile money directly across IA Easy. This service is powered by GIFT. Buying a car, thousands of cars are imported, wrecked, stolen, or flooded. Discover the state of the car before it was imported with the Home Used Car app. Install the Hookah app on your mobile device now and get up to 10 images to help you assess the damages on the car. Hookah is spelled H-U-C-A. Available on iOS and Android devices. Visit homeusedcar.com for more details.
Hello. This is UGMC COVID Connect.
I'm Dr. Wilfred Asma.
I understand you have a runny nose. It doesn't necessarily mean you have COVID-19, and that is why I need you to calm down so that we do the best we can to help you.
COVID Connect, a digital service, connects you to the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Center for quality medical support, expert psychological counseling, testing, and in-hospital management.
Access COVID Connect by downloading Lucy Vitals on Play Store or iOS.
COVID Connect is brought to you by the UGMC, the Ministry of Health, and supported by the Farm Access Foundation.
And we're back. COVID tips. When you feel sick, self-quarantine. When you're sick, call your doctor if you have any of the symptoms. Stay home until you recover. Avoid sitting, sleeping, or eating with your loved ones, even if you live in the same home. And wear a mask. Wash your hands as much as possible. I've been washing my hands every second, every minute I touch something, I have to go and wash my hands. And if you need urgent medical care, wear a mask and let them know you may have COVID-19. The COVID-19 tidbit is brought to you by Carex in collaboration with the Ghana Medical Association. Carex kills 99% of bacteria. Say yes to life. Dole yogurt. More. I need more. Alive soap. Soap can save your life. Use it. McDan Shipping Company Limited, your total logistics partner. Petrosol, a delightful experience. And Hollard Life Assurance. We've got you covered. So, we talk about the Hookah app. Are you buying a used car? Discover the state of your car before it's imported with the Home Used Car app, the Hookah app. Download and install the Hookah app on your mobile device now. Download it now and enter your vehicle identification number or the chassis number of the car and get up to 10 images to help you assess the damages on the car before it's imported. The Hookah app gives a detailed report on the car's undercarriage, the suspension, the transmission, the engine, and the electrical systems before importation. Make the best buying decision. Check before you buy your next car with the Home Used Car app, or Hooka. Hooka is spelled Huca. Hooka. It's available on iOS and Android devices, or visit homeusedcar.com for more details. Hooka app will let you know if it's accident free. Now we're talking about EdTech, so let me tell you about Joy Learning. Dear parents or guardians, Joy Learning is intensifying teaching lessons in these times as the reported COVID-19 cases in Ghana have compelled schools to close down. Kindly tune your television channel to Joy Learning and access our classroom lessons and other educational programs. We can assure you that with Joy Learning, your children will not be left behind in classroom teachings while they're in the house. Do not allow COVID-19 to prevent your child from learning at all. Joy Learning has you covered. With Joy Learning, education is secured, convenient, and easily accessible anywhere, anytime in the comfort of their homes. Get a multi-TV digibox for your kids now. Joy Learning. Keep learning. So, Cecil and Madam Awo.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to keep learning. With Joy Learning and every other resource that we have.
Learning never stops.
At all. Yes. So, Cecil mentioned a few things before we left about how he was buttressing your point about after COVID-19, we
how to bridge the gap.
Yes, need to bridge the gap. But I want to know, how do we ensure, for instance, we're learning and then it gets to the time when we have to take our tests and our exams. How are we going to ensure that exams are free and fair and devoid of any interference? Talking about exam malpractices online. You know how easy it can be to open a different tab and then Google that question if you're doing this remotely. Any idea how we can ensure that exams are free of malpractices? Madam Awo.
I think I read earlier this morning or yesterday about the use of continuous assessment, right?
Yeah.
So that is to kind of mitigate the issue of exam malpractice. I want to believe. But then, when it comes to digital learning situation, I keep talking about some digital skills that children are supposed to acquire before they can thrive well in the space. Right. You can be in that same space, you are being assessed. Therefore, you know very well that you are not supposed to cheat in that kind of examination or that assessment because it's for your own good. Yeah. So I think that when we take out the notion of examination being a way of a punitive measure of assessing one's learning to being assessing one's strength in a particular endeavor of learning, young people or children, by and large, will be devoid of cheating in an examination. So that is a whole kind of worm that we don't want to open now. Right. But then it's something we need to instill in young people now that they're going to be engaging in either blended learning or distributed learning or whatever learning situation the digital space will afford them.
Right.
I don't know if it's fair for me to let the public know about some of the opportunities we have at our end as well in terms of building the skills of young people. So we've just rolled out this tool we call Child Digital Readiness Kit.
Right.
It's an assessment kit that would introduce the child and the parent to screen time management, cyberbullying management, digital citizen identity, digital communication, digital footprint management, and all of that. So more like the 8 digital intelligence skills that the child could have in order to be a good citizen in the space. Interestingly enough, it's not going for free, and I don't know if your sponsors will allow. Therefore, I would say that anyone could follow our platform, Child Online Africa, on Facebook, or even go to our website or send us an email at info@childonlineafrica, and then we will provide the details of this assessment kit for the child. But it's strictly for children between the ages of 8 and 12.
Between the ages of 8 and
12,
right.
8 to 12
Okay.
years. An adult could use it to assess himself or herself as to how he or she is thriving in the space or how ready his understanding is as far as the digital platform is concerned as well, too. But then that might not go through the strict assessment system where the results will be accurate, because the assessment is meant for that particular age group so that it will be easier to know how the person is faring in terms of his or her IQ development and stuff like that.
Right.
So yes, we have that kit available. So parents who are interested could reach out to us it's very, very affordable. If you wouldn't mind, I could put out the cost, but then I don't know how your sponsors will take it. So that's how I come up with holding that.
I think if they send you an email, then you tell them how much it will cost.
Yeah, it's just.
Otherwise, you can come and sponsor the show.
Sorry?
I said otherwise then you can come and sponsor the show.
Amen. But it's actually 15 Ghana cedis.
Oh, that's a great
15
fee.
Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
So you have the result of your child's development for the digital space. That's the readiness for the digital space.
Great. Cecil.
I'm here.
Yes. So before we leave, I'd like you to tell us. I asked a question about exam malpractice. Do you think blockchain can help?
So that has been one of the, shall I say, the golden spoon question for EdTech. It's been it's an issue that those of us in the EdTech space have to answer several times.
Right.
But I think I agree with my colleague. It's more of a behavior, and being aware and decent enough to know that cheating is not going to help me.
Yeah.
Right. But we're humans. People get desperate. So what we have tried to do is to use technology to minimize it.
Right.
So, for example, the artificial intelligence we use at eCampus is called Nile. So what Nile does is it's more continuous assessment than a one-time timed exam. Because every time you enter eCampus, you go to a topic, you have some practice questions, just like you're playing, you're just having fun. It is accumulating all those points. Nile is accumulating all those points.
Right.
And then Nile tries to see whether you cheated or not. So, for example, if you're supposed to get 2 points for watching a video from the beginning to the end, and it's a 4-minute video, all right, and then you played it by your screen time was 3 seconds. That means you didn't watch the video. You just pressed play and left the phone there thinking you are being smart.
Yeah.
Nile will compare that information to your screen time and then know that no, you cheated. Then you lose some points. When you're taking an assessment, all right, Nile over time has realized that it takes an average of 2 to 3 minutes to read a question, think through it, and answer. So if you are answering 10 questions and you are doing an average of 0.000 seconds, then you already have the answer. You're just going pam, 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 pam. There are cases where some learners are very smart. They are genius. But come on, if you're going to read a question, read 4 possible answers, process and answer. The fastest you can go, no matter how smart you are, maybe a minute. So if you're doing below seconds, which are very suspicious, then Nile will flag you up. Nile will flag you up, and then we investigate. Then realize that, okay, maybe he's just a superstar like genius, or they cheated.
Right.
So that's another way. The third approach we're trying, we've not deployed that yet, is to start using the camera.
Okay.
Right?
Like the way Proctor Track does.
Now that you can use your face to log into devices. So if every microsecond you are scanning your face to be sure that you are the one taking the assessment, if you take off your face for too long and you detect somebody else's face, then we stop that assessment. That means you're trying to play smart. Because if you take your face off for too long, that means you are researching somewhere else, or you are finding, you are looking through a certain book to come answer. So we're trying all these little things to just reduce it.
Right.
But then, like I said, we're humans. They will always find another way. Then we keep. So what is helping us is the Nile, because artificial intelligence is able to identify patterns and tricks that people are trying to use, and makes it easy for us to develop new features that can curb it. So it's going to be a long-time problem, just like the problem of corruption. And only
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cecil. Thank you very much, Madam Awo. And I'll definitely love to have you guys on again for another conversation. I believe we all learned a lot. And yeah, if you're looking for more information about EdTech and being safe online, just look for eCampus, Cecil of eCampus, and Madam Awo Idam of Child Safety Online Ghana. So yeah, Geek Squad, the show you've been listening to is Geek Squad, and it was brought to you by Hookah, the home used car app. Hookah app, discover the state of your car before it's imported. Hookah app, we let you know if it's accident free. It was also brought to you by Mobile Money Interoperability, powered by GIPS. Be our hero, be safe, stay home across Aye Safer. And COVID Connect. Are you worried you may be having COVID-19 symptoms? Do not panic. Download the Lucille Vitals app to access COVID Connect. COVID Connect is not just an app, it's a service. COVID Connect is a virtual consulting room which allows users of the app to fill in their COVID-19 symptoms. If your symptoms are rated mild to high risk, you would receive a call from the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Center. They will care for you based on the treatment guidelines prescribed by the WHO at the comfort of your home, and an ambulance will be dispatched to pick those who may require in-hospital treatment testing for COVID-19. Download the Lucille Vitals app right now and connect to the service. Lucille is spelled Luscii. COVID Connect. Connect for Health. COVID Connect is brought to you by the UGMC Ministry of Health and supported by Farm Access Foundation. And with that, I'd like to thank you for listening. My name is Kobby Spiky Nkrumah. Thank you to Parkway C. Williams, to Ifwa Bamsi, to Jay, and all of you who've been listening and having Geek Squad's back. And in fact, all our sides. I'll catch you guys next week. If you missed any part of the show, go on my Joe Online as a podcast.